the 2025 quarter one earnings call from Disney was yesterday morning, technically today.
But everyone
But we're talking about it for you guys because you'll hear this tomorrow.
Guys, you're listening to us in the past.
This is true. This is very
crazy.
true. So as of recording this, it was today, but for you,
Right.
it'll be yesterday. And here are some takeaways.
All right, I'll talk about them, and then Jared, you can elaborate more because you know more about this business stuff than I do.
Got it.
Disney Parks revenue was up 3%, but down 5% in operating income. And the reason they gave for that was that it was because of the hurricanes. There was one day where the parks were closed, and it was just kind of like a weird time. But it cost them about $120 million. And the launch of the Disney Treasure and the marketing for that and all that stuff cost about $75 million on top of that. So that's where they're showing why the operating income is lower. So what do you think?
I mean, I don't know. I saw where they said that. I don't know how much. That seems like a high amount for one day being closed, but potentially it could be. I mean,
I believe that number for sure, but does it account for 5%?
that's the part I don't know.
You know what I mean?
That
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a good way to blame it on that if you wanted to, maybe. But I don't know how much they earn any given day, like stuff like that. So it's, it's possible. But they did have the hurricane to deal. I mean, you also could have had people, canceling trips and postponing trips and things like that. So it could be some of that as well.
They also said that domestic attendance for the quarter was down 2%. Hotel occupancy was flat, so no rising, no lowering. Per guest spending was up 4%. And Disney is still forecasting 6% to 8% operating income growth for the experiences portion of the fiscal year. Even though, they're talking all about this, they're projecting that will be about that. When asked about the effect of the opening of Epic Universe coming, and apparently this analyst that asked the question gets this question a lot to him, like to ask, during these earnings calls, CFO Hugh Johnston said that Disney, quote, anticipates some small impact.
I'd like to know what they mean by small.
Well, they did say that they still forecast that operating income growth 6 to 8%, even with having impacted from Epic Universe. So
But they're not consistent on the language of use. So months ago, they said they anticipate that Epic Universe was going to help them.
Right.
So now they're saying they anticipate a small impact.
Yep.
I personally, I've said this the whole time. I don't think they know. I don't think anybody knows what the impact of Epic Universe is going to be. Outside, obviously, it's going to be impactful for Universal. Mm-hmm. They're going to see a massive bump in their attendance and obviously a brand new park opening, things like that. I don't think anybody knows. Is there a spillover effect to, say, Disney World, SeaWorld, like the other local parks? Is there going to be a spillover? That's something that I think Disney, obviously, they're not going to come out and say, oh, man, it's going to be bad. Even if it was going to be bad, I'm not saying it is, because I don't know either. They're not going to come out and say that. They're obviously going to come out and say, we're looking for, we're going to have growth, and obviously them saying 6 to 8% growth. I feel that's pretty aggressive to say that when you even look at when Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade opened up. I mean, they did those first years that Universal had those openings. They would see like either flat or like 2% down, 2% up. So 8 to 9% or 6 to 8% is pretty high. I was kind of surprised to hear them say that.
Growth, yeah.
But they're not going. But they're also just not going to. If they signal in these meetings that they were anticipating that Epic Universe was going to negatively impact them, especially. It's one thing to say it may negatively impact you months ago, but to say it now, I think would be much more. It would have a much more effect on the stock price if they were to signal it now because it's so close to opening. I mean, we're as of today that I think not maybe annual pass holder, but previews on some level are going to start with Epic Universe very soon. So the park is just about wrapped up, ready to open in May. I mean, I think they're hoping. But if they don't see, I do think that their discounts they're running through the rest of the year are signaling that they are obviously trying to, lure people over on pricing and things like that. But I'm skeptical. I'll just say that the 6 to 8% growth. I'll just say that that's a pretty high number, especially whenever they say anticipate a small impact. I would like to know what a small impact is to then also say you're going to have 6 to 8% growth.
Right.
Like that seems very contradictory to say, on one hand, say you're going to have a small impact, on the other hand, you're going to see almost 10% growth.
Right. I mean, I don't know. Do you happen to remember was it Islands of Adventure? Was that the last park that opened in the Orlando area?
I believe,
major?
Yeah, I believe it was Animal Kingdom and then Islands of Adventure opened.
Okay.
I believe.
So I'm trying to think of how it was. It's been so long and I was just a kid, but we went the month it opened and it was a soft opening. So it wasn't very busy, but I don't recall like how it was, getting into the parks and everything and how it affected anything else. But I do remember the crowds when Wizard World of Harry Potter opened.
Yeah.
And that was very, very exciting and people are excited for that. So yeah, there's just this hasn't been something on this scale before, I don't think.
Right.
So it's really hard to predict, but I will be interested. I'll be interested.
I'm very interested because,
Yeah.
You can look at the other, Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley opening, but again, those were singular lands. And at the same time, those lands didn't change really how people visited Universal because still, until Epic Universe opens, you could do most things at Universal in 1 to 2 days.
Right. But my point was being there's even more Harry Potter and you have Super Nintendo World.
Don't undersell Nintendo. Nintendo's
I'm not underselling.
I know.
I'm telling you.
I think some people do in general, but Nintendo is massive.
Huge.
So
it's huge.
Yeah.
I'm
very, very curious. And like I said, I'm not making a prediction. I'm more or less I'm kind of looking at it like the things that they have said in the past about it.
Yeah.
And I honestly just don't think that they know.
Yeah.
They may look at bookings on some level and see what it's looking like and things of that nature. But I am very curious as to, is there a spillover effect? I know the local Orlando economy is definitely right near Epic Universe. They're all very much anticipating hotels and things.
Oh, for sure.
But it just, does it translate to other places? That'll be the big question, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for that one.
Oh, okay.